Let's arm everybody. That's the only way the second Civil War will be fair. Well, actually, there's no way that the war would be fair. I can only assume that the violence would start if Donald Trump lost. Once again, he would rile up the MAGA crowd of insurrectionists to fight and die for him. The only problem is that Joe Biden would be president. He won't be trying to confuse the MAGA group by pretending that someone else is to blame. He will send troops. Why? Because unlike Donald Trump, he knows that one of the jobs of the president is commander-in-chief of the armed forces, even Space Force. He won't waste precious moments to decide if he should consult with Nikki Haley, Nancy Pelosi.
You know, Nikki Haley is in charge of security. We offered her 10,000 people.
Mike Johnson, or even Ronnie Jackson, or Johnson, depending upon who you believe.
Dr. Ronnie Johnson.
The last time they weren't expecting an insurrection. This time they will be. The only thing I don't understand is why are there still people who believe that Trump won the 2020 election? As I said last week, the one thing MAGA doesn't have is a doubting Thomas. Now in the Bible, Thomas doubts that Christ rose from the dead. So to convince Thomas, Christ allows him to touch his wounds. But then he sets up the MAGA group with the words, "Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." I guess that's why MAGA believes that Trump was hit by a bullet. Now I'm willing to apologize if Trump has a wound the size of a penny, about 2 centimeters, as Ronnie Jackson claimed. But based on the recent photos of Trump's ear, the only way I'll believe it is if you get Trump to release his hospital records. But you won't, and he won't. Trump won't release his record partially because most of the MAGA crowd are like growing mushrooms. They keep them in the dark and feed them manure. I believe that most people believe that their moral code is similar to everyone else, which is why it is easy to fool an honest person. The American people are also believers in fairness. I think that might be the reason that the MAGA crowd believed Trump's assertion that the election was stolen. But after 60 court cases where not one of them found fraud, isn't it time to let go? At this time, we look at Trump supporters less as standing up for democracy and more as black knights from Monty Python.
All right, we'll call it a draw.
I understand that MAGA supporters would have a difficult time supporting Trump, probably because they don't know about the sunk cost philosophy. This is where a person refuses to give up on a course of action because they have invested heavily in it, even when dropping it might be better. They have invested time and money to help Trump, and he will reward them with Project 2025. One of the things that 25 wants is to do away with the civil service jobs. They will be replaced by people who are loyal to King Donald. Because of a failing educational system, most people probably don't realize that we had that before. And it didn't work. Often the jobs went to the highest bidder, not the most qualified. Imagine how confident you'll be when you find out that the air traffic controller covering your flight was a city dog catcher last week. I misspoke. It won't be King Donald. It will be dictator. I know. Donald said he would be dictator for a day. He didn't complete the sentence, however. It goes, I'll be a dictator for a day, and Emperor Palatine for the rest. MAGA doesn't question the one-day dictator coming because they know of the long list of one-day dictators. Just like any con man, Trump is playing the MAGA crowd for a fool. Perhaps they should follow Jefferson's advice and question with boldness. Why is the that people consider it acceptable to watch someone's YouTube channel and not subscribe. Most YouTubers need the subscription to grow their channels and to make money. In a sense, a subscription is like a tip for a waitress. Probably 90% of you leave a tip even when you get bad service. I can't believe that you all exclusively eat at fast food restaurants to avoid leaving a tip. So please, subscribe. And I promise not to spit in your food.